Have you ever wondered what can bring even the mightiest among us to our knees? Imagine the ruler of an empire so powerful that his city, Babylon, was a marvel of the ancient world, one that people believed could never fall. Now imagine that same king, the most powerful man of his time, brought down to live as a wild animal, cast out from his kingdom, crawling on all fours and eating grass. What could cause such a dramatic change? Why would a ruler like King Nebuchadnezzar, known for his unparalleled achievements and wealth, experience such a profound fall from grace? And perhaps even more puzzling, what was the lesson hidden behind this divine judgment? In this story, we'll delve into one of the most mysterious and fascinating accounts from ancient times, where power, pride, and humility collide. King Nebuchadnezzar's life journey, from towering pride to profound humility, contains lessons that still resonate today. This isn't just a story of a king's fall, it's a story about the limits of human greatness and the power of recognizing forces beyond ourselves. Stay with us until the end, as we uncover the message that God delivered through Nebuchadnezzar's transformation, one that's as relevant today as it was thousands of years ago. 1. The rise of King Nebuchadnezzar, a mighty ruler. The scene opens in ancient Babylon, one of the world's most magnificent cities, known for its towering walls, legendary hanging gardens, and vibrant culture. And at the center of it all was King Nebuchadnezzar, a ruler who commanded not only respect but also awe from his people and fear from his enemies. His empire was vast, stretching over lands filled with diverse people and resources. Nebuchadnezzar was no ordinary king. His achievements were staggering, his ambitions boundless. Under his reign, Babylon became a marvel of architecture and innovation, known throughout the ancient world. It was said that the Hanging Gardens, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, were built for his wife, Queen Amytis, to remind her of the lush, green mountains of her homeland. In Nebuchadnezzar's eyes, he was not just a king, he was almost divine, a being so powerful that his city, his empire, and everything around it were an extension of his own greatness. His victories on the battlefield and his architectural marvels fed his pride, making him see himself as the architect of his own destiny. But as his achievements grew, so did his arrogance, and the seeds of his downfall were sown. The prophet and the warning. But there was one man in Nebuchadnezzar's court who saw things differently, Daniel, a wise advisor from Judah. Daniel had been taken captive as a young man, yet his insight, intelligence, and gift for interpreting dreams soon earned him a position close to the king. Daniel served not only as an advisor, but also as a prophet, a man who communicated the will of God even when his words were difficult to hear. One night, King Nebuchadnezzar was plagued by a vivid and troubling dream. He saw a great tree standing in the center of the earth. Its branches stretched to the sky, its leaves were lush and vibrant, and its fruit provided sustenance for all living creatures. But in the dream, a heavenly voice commanded that the tree be cut down, leaving only the stump. The voice declared that the one represented by the tree would be driven away, live among the animals, and eat grass like cattle. Confused and disturbed, Nebuchadnezzar called for Daniel to interpret the dream. As Daniel listened, his face grew troubled, but he did not flinch. He told the king plainly, "The tree you saw is you, O king. You have grown great and strong, and your dominion reaches to the ends of the earth. But because of your pride, a judgment has been set against you. You will be driven away from people, and you will live with the animals, eating grass like an ox. This will continue for 7 years until you acknowledge that the Most High is the ruler of all kingdoms on earth and grants them to whomever he wishes." Nebuchadnezzar was taken aback by Daniel's words. The message was clear, yet the idea of his own downfall was unthinkable. He brushed it aside, confident that such a thing could never happen to him. Nebuchadnezzar's pride takes hold. Time passed, and the king's memory of the dream began to fade. His pride only grew as he looked upon the splendor of his accomplishments. One evening, as he stood on the rooftop of his palace, he looked out over Babylon and declared, "Is this not the great Babylon I have built as my royal residence, by my power and for the glory of my majesty?" To Nebuchadnezzar, Babylon was the ultimate symbol of his strength and influence. He believed himself untouchable, a man who had achieved greatness through his own efforts alone. He failed to acknowledge the source of his power, refusing to see his accomplishments as part of a greater purpose. This prideful heart was the very thing that the prophecy had warned him against. But just as his words echoed into the night sky, something extraordinary happened. The transformation, God's judgment, unfolds in an instant. Nebuchadnezzar's reality shifted. A voice boomed down from the heavens, and his body trembled as he heard, "O King Nebuchadnezzar, your kingdom has been taken from you. You will be driven away from people and will live with the wild animals until you learn that the Most High is sovereign over all kingdoms on earth." In that moment, his mind shattered. The king's thoughts twisted, his consciousness fractured, and a deep, wild madness overtook him. He no longer understood himself as a king or even as a man. Bewildered and unsteady, he stumbled out of his palace, driven by a force he could not resist. His human dignity melted away as he fell to his hands and knees, his fingers and toes clawing at the ground. Nebuchadnezzar's transformation was swift. His hair grew thick and matted, his nails curved like claws, and he found himself roaming the fields like a creature of the wilderness. His palace and royal garments were left behind, along with the comforts of his former life. He now lived among the beasts, sleeping under the open sky, his royal status lost to his madness. The wilderness years, a king's humbling. For 7 long years, Nebuchadnezzar lived in the wilderness, eating grass as animals do, and drinking from streams. His body became filthy and frail, his mind clouded, unable to recall the glories of his palace or the majesty of his kingdom. The once mighty king was now no different from the creatures around him, experiencing life from the most humble of perspectives. Through the changing seasons, Nebuchadnezzar wandered, helpless and broken. But within his spirit, a transformation was slowly taking place. The endless solitude forced him to confront his limitations, to reflect on the pride that had once filled his heart. Though he could barely form a coherent thought, a strange awareness began to stir within him, an understanding of his own smallness in the vastness of creation. In his weakness, Nebuchadnezzar felt the faint presence of something greater than himself. The arrogance that had once ruled his heart began to dissolve. This humbling experience gradually taught him a lesson he could never have learned within the comfort and grandeur of his palace. The moment of repentance and restoration as the 7th year came to an end, Nebuchadnezzar, gazing up at the heavens, felt his mind clear. In a moment of surrender, he lifted his eyes and acknowledged the power of the Most High. For the first time, he spoke not with pride, but with reverence. "The Most High is sovereign over all kingdoms on earth," he whispered, understanding that his power had always been a gift, not a right. In this act of humility, he recognized the source of all authority. His heart finally softened to wisdom. In that instant, his senses returned, his strength renewed. He stood up as a man again, and his former dignity was restored. Nebuchadnezzar returned to Babylon, his royal court astonished to see their king once more. But the man who returned was not the same. The king's pride was gone, replaced by a profound reverence for the one who ruled over all. A transformed king, sharing the lesson of humility once restored to his throne, Nebuchadnezzar was no longer the prideful ruler he had once been. His time in the wilderness had left a lasting impact. He now ruled with a sense of humility and a recognition of the divine authority that had both blessed and judged him. Nebuchadnezzar publicly proclaimed his story, no longer hiding the shame of his past arrogance. He told his people about the Most High, the true ruler of heaven and earth, who had taught him a lesson in humility. He encouraged others to seek wisdom, not in their own strength, but in the acknowledgement of a higher power. In his remaining years, Nebuchadnezzar became known not only as a mighty king, but as a ruler who understood the limits of human power and the necessity of humility. His story spread far beyond Babylon, serving as a timeless reminder that no human power can stand unchallenged before the divine. Even the greatest among us must answer to a higher authority. In the end, Nebuchadnezzar's transformation became a testament to the dangers of pride and the possibility of redemption. His fall and restoration reveal a profound truth that true greatness lies in humility and true wisdom in acknowledging the power of the Most High. And so, King Nebuchadnezzar's legacy became one of caution, humility, and grace, a story that continues to inspire even in modern times.